So, am I audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So we continue our 1D planar optical waveguide. I hope today is the last class for planar optical waveguide. Then we can move to 2D. Okay. So as we discussed, let us take the reference of that figure, same figure. This is some X direction, sorry, Z. And this is your X, this is your Y, and you have your substrate NS, and then core NC or NF film, and say cover NC. So as usual, NF greater than NS, in general greater than NC, but NS can be equal to NC. Now, so we defined this is X direction, it is just confined like this in 0D, and we have defined TE mode. Once again, the electric field is we can write something like this: 0, the components, and magnetic field we can write 0, sorry, this should be Bx 0 Bz, and then in case of TM mode, TM, and we have electric field will be Ex 0 Ez, and magnetic field will be 0 By 0. So this is magnetic field, and then we have derived our dispersion relation for T mode, that is KFD plus M times pi, that should be equal to kappa F gamma C plus gamma S divided by kappa F square minus gamma C gamma S. That was derived in the last class, right? And I asked you to derive for TM mode. I hope you have tried.
Sir, there is a tan inverse here.
Tan inverse, right? That should be tan inverse, sure. No, yes. That tan inverse should be something like that. Yeah, sure. I think, let me clarify. I don't know why it is not. So kappa F D plus M pi, that should be equal to tan inverse. Okay, this is something like that. And here I can write kappa F D equal to N pi equal to tan inverse. So you have to solve this one. I just write the equation directly. It is my own derivation, so you can try also yourself. Ns square gamma C plus Nc square gamma S divided by kappa F Nf square. Okay, Nc square Ns square minus Nf square gamma C gamma S. So this is your TM polarization, dispersion relation is there, and we same way we have written whatever way we have written M equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, so on for T mode, and N also you can write same way for TM mode also. You can have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on, and same way whatever we have written kappa F square equal to, I think, what is that, omega square by C square and this is NF square minus N effective square, and gamma S square equal to omega square by C square, and then this would be N effective square minus NS square, and gamma C will be omega square.
Sir, there won't be square root, like if you're taking square on both sides.
Yes. So that's correct. So this is the thing. Sorry for that. Yeah. Anyway, I think this is okay. So N effective square, NC square, right? So this thing is true for TM also. TM and T, both cases, this thing is considered, right? And we have this T case. Normally we can solve easily EYX, right? E to the power j omega t minus beta mz, right? And here also I can put mth dependent, that is your E field. E field you can write something like this, AY, right? And then your magnetic field, you can have Bx component, that will be also X dependent, and Bz Z dependent, and both will be again e to the power j omega t minus beta mz. And since it is t, sometimes people used to write like t superscript somewhere, beta m te or something like that. So you have to keep that in mind, that this is for t. And for tm also, here what we'll be writing, we can write by x e to the power j omega t minus beta n tm z, for example, something like this. That is your B field. For TM polarization, we can write something like this. And then you can have also EYX and EZX, EY or EX, yeah, EX, EXX, EZX, that should be again, should be multiplied with E j omega t minus beta n TM Z. So this is actually, whenever I am writing this, here also we should write n. So this also will be writing n, right? So nth mode, here also I should write m, right? So beta n. Is that clear? Any doubt till now? So I have three components here, Ex, Ez, and By. All are function of x. All are function of e to the power j omega t minus beta n z. And here also all the three components function of x, because x direction variations are there. Now question is, we have somewhat solved, we know how to solve this x dependent different mode, and beta was still unknown, but beta can be solved from this dispersion relation, whatever we have discussed here. This is the dispersion relation here, because here kappa F, gamma C, gamma S, they are in terms of n effective is there, and right hand, left hand side also n effective. So only unknown is the n effective. So only unknown in both sides, n effective, only unknown, n effective. If all other things are known, here also if you see, only unknown, n effective. So in principle you can solve, and that's so you can use a MATLAB equation, MATLAB programming or any other programming to solve so-called dispersion relation. So you can use this one as a beta x-axis, and this one is a omega. Okay, so I can plot for TE as well as TM. Okay, TE, TM, and then that means I can solve for beta M and beta N. So for T, that is we defined as a beta m runs from 0 to so on, and for Tm beta n. Okay. Now to do this, I need to find out first, because this is, you say, beta. You can use beta and omega relationship. Normally is that omega equal to C by n effective beta. Is that correct? This equation is okay? Normally n effective known, normally omega versus beta. That means we write omega by beta equal to C by n effective. That is your phase velocity of the mode. Phase velocity of any guided mode. If it is a guided mode, we write here m. Here also we write here m for mth mode. That can be T mode and that can be Tm mode. Now, suppose I ask you.
Sir?
Yes.
Like, isn't C by n supposed to be the group velocity of the wave?
No. How group velocity comes here? Here we are considering only one frequency omega, frequency domain, right?
Okay.
Given omega, it's a monochromatic, which is actually relatively impossible practically, but theoretical point of view, monochromatic is monochromatic, one frequency. So that particular frequency, what is the phase velocity we are just calculating. At group velocity, when you have normally you have a information on any frequency, that means multiple frequency involves, a band of frequency involves, then how the information propagates, that is actually group velocity. I will come to that point later. Okay, normally that group velocity, this is phase velocity, group velocity is d omega by d beta. That is actually Vg, group velocity. So around, say, omega, at any particular omega naught, if you just get the slope, that slope gives you how the information or data modulated signal propagates. Okay, that is group velocity. That any standard book you will also find. If some scope comes, I will be discussing also a bit on that. It's clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now, I would like to solve, to find this one also, I need actually omega beta relationship. How that varies to find the group velocity, right? So, if I try to, if I know that what is my B value, what is my N if known, and what is my NS known, and NC known, all are known. D known. So can I plot omega beta from our earlier equation, dispersion equation I have solved? This one.
Yes, sir.
You can solve, right? And I will be just giving you some pictorial sketch how it will be looking like. Okay. For that purpose, we will be considering this one omega independent. This one also omega independent. NC also omega independent. Do you know what that means?
No material dispersion.
No material dispersion. So material dispersion, you know that if you have lambda, typically, I'm just lambda, you can, you know, lambda equal to omega equal to 2 pi c by lambda, right? 2 pi c by lambda. This is omega. If I normally see any material, and if I try to see the refractive index, typically the refractive index is like this. As you go for longer wavelength, okay, that means lambda is increasing this side and omega will be increasing this side. Okay, then normally refractive index drops as you increase the wavelength, or refractive index increases as you increase the frequency. Okay, that is the normal dispersion, normal material dispersion typically. But where we are considering that the refractive index is real, the material is more or less transparent. So in that region, there is no absorption, nothing, resonance absorption, nothing is happening. Then refractive index, that is the normal dispersion curve. This is called material dispersion. But most of the time, you know, we'll be operating in a small lambda. This is, for example, if I just consider glass or silicon or whatever things, we just consider more or less from, say, deep UV, deep UV region. Deep UV means that is 10 nanometer, 20 nanometer wavelength, to some far infrared microns, 10 microns or so. This, if you consider like this. But normally, you know, in communication band or any small window you use for 1500 nanometer or 1310 nanometer for O band, etc. So if you just see, this is a small window. Within that window, we are interested. In that window, always we see that the diffractive index trained will be there. There will be change as you change the wavelength. But more or less, if you are sticking with around certain 1 nanometer, 2 nanometer wavelength, or 3 nanometer, 5 nanometer, 10 nanometer wavelength, in that case, I think it is some kind of approximately we can consider that material dispersion is not there. Normally, no material you will find where you can get material dispersion 0. That is practical situation. Always there will be some kind of dispersion, but this is just kind of hard approximation we can consider for the moment, for this understanding purpose, for this discussion purpose. Okay, if I just consider that NF, NS, NC is material independent, or they can be different, NF omega dependent, but they are different for particular frequency or wavelength. They are different. NF, NS, NC, they are different. They are, otherwise there will not be existence of waveguide, right? But for a particular window of frequency, we can say that NF for that film material is same. But then when we try to plot this one, for example, this one, if I want to plot, okay. So if I see that this omega, whenever I am considering NF, NS, NC is wave frequency dependent, I can say that normally N effective is frequency independent. Is that correct? Anyone can help?
Yes, sir. Because in effective comes but for particularly one mode. So in that
think and answer. What I'm saying that NF is omega independent, NS is omega independent, NC, if that means if they are a homogeneous medium of NF, they are frequency dependent. Diffractive index change is not there. That is assumption. Similarly, homogeneous medium of substrate, frequency change, nothing is different. Cover medium, frequency change, nothing is changing. That is a hard assumption I said. Now, with that assumption, can we consider N effective also frequency independent?
No, sir.
It cannot be, because in our N effective calculation, we have this formula. D is involved there, right? So that means this thickness D actually is there for, because this side omega is there also, right? And you have N effective is there. In kappa F also omega is there, N effective is there, and then NF, NS, all those type of things are there. If I change omega, N effective solution will be different for a given D. For a given D, for a given NF, for a given NS, for a given NC. So that means N effective must be frequency dependent. Even though my assumption is that the material dispersion is absent. So material dispersion absent, in spite of that, you have N effective is omega dependent. That can be dispersive. So that is called waveguide dispersion. Okay, there is one called material dispersion. Whenever I'm talking about material dispersion, you are considering electromagnetic wave propagation in a homogeneous medium. And when I am considering ineffective dispersion, that means you have a waveguide. Effective index is there. Effective index of a mode is there. So that is actually can be frequency dependent. So when that is frequency dependent, that is modal so-called waveguide dispersion. So that means even though you are constructing your waveguide out of 3 material system, which are material dispersion is 0, which have material dispersion 0. But if you construct a waveguide and allow some mode to propagate, that mode will have dispersive. Chromatic dispersion will be there. Wavelength dependent dispersion is there. And another dispersion, you know, waveguide dispersion is modal dispersion. If different frequency is same, if they are traveling in different modes, their phase velocity different, because mode will have different effective index. So that is called modal dispersion. Different mode will travel with different velocity. And within the mode, if you are changing frequency, the phase velocity also will be changing. Within the mode, suppose you have a fundamental mode. In the fundamental mode, you are considering frequency range from 1500 or wavelength range from 1500 to 1600 nanometer communication band. So as you change your wavelength, phase velocity will change because of the waveguide dispersion. Modal dispersion. Waveguide dispersion means when I say about mode, so you have to distinguish all these dispersion. One is material dispersion, one is modal dispersion, and another is waveguide dispersion. When I say waveguide dispersion, that means you are concentrating only on your one particular mode. And whenever you are talking about modal dispersion, that means you are talking maybe one particular frequency but different mode. Frequency is fixed. That means your modes are traveling with a different velocity, even though waveguides are same, waveguide is same, and frequency is same. Now your mode is same, waveguide is same, you are changing wavelength or frequency, that time also you see dispersion. Okay, now I would like to know the dispersion of a single mode, for example. Then, for example, fundamental mode and T polarization. Then I can go for fundamental mode TM polarization. How is the dispersion? Then I can go first order mode, M equal to 1, N equal to 1. So what is the dispersion? And then TM mode also, when N equal to 1, what is the dispersion? So to sketch that, I need to know few things. Suppose I know that the relation is this one. This one is your relation. Now, if I ask you to plot, suppose you are plotting a homogeneous medium, dispersion relation in the homogeneous medium. What would be the relationship? Omega should be equal to C by N and then beta, right? That is your homogeneous medium, right? N is a homogeneous medium. If it is a film, it will be like this, right? And it will be, if it is substrate, Ns beta. And if it is cover, cladding, C by Nc beta. So if I just plot this one first, how it will be looking like? Omega equal to C by NF B beta. How it will be looking like in this plot?
Straight line.
It will be a straight line because this NF is constant as a function of frequency. C by NF is a constant. So omega versus beta is a basically straight line. I can put a straight line, right? So this is your, I can write omega equal to C by NF beta curve, right? That means I'm considering homogeneous medium of NF. It should be through origin. Now if I just plot this one, how it will be looking like?
Higher slope.
Another slope. So higher slope will be there, right? Okay. This will be because slope is higher, right? So that means omega will be higher, right? So I can write this one probably little bit. I want to modify this thing. So this is your omega equal to C by NF beta, and then I can have, sorry, this will be your this is your C by NS beta, and then maybe this one will be your C by NC beta. Is that correct? Now tell me, if I want to plot this one, which region the solutions you can expect? I have one, this is one region, suppose this is 2 region, this is 3 region, this is 4 region. A simple question that if I want to plot omega beta curve for a guided mode, which region I will supposed to get a solution?
Second region.
Who said that?
Yes, sir.
Joshua. Are you sure?
Yes, sir, because N effective should be greater than NS and NC.
Right. So I know that exactly. That's the correct point. So if I just this one here. So why I am discussing this, when you are plotting, it should not be in dark whether the results you are getting that is correct or not. You will be able to predict that yes, it is coming. My program or MATLAB program or CLab, C programming, whatever you do, Python, that results coming correct or not, you will be able to judge. So I know that N effective for any mode, M equal to 0 or something like that, it must be greater than, it should be greater than NS less than NF. That analysis we have found and established earlier. Because NC is always less than NS. So I should see if effective index solutions you are getting above NS and less than NF. If something ineffective you are getting probably greater than NS or greater than NC but less than NS, that will be actually leaky. I said that earlier, we discussed that one interface you will not see any total internal reflection, other interface may be. So in that case it will be leaking. So I supposed to get solutions in this 2 region, right, for a guided mode. Now guess that what would be the nature for smaller beta to higher beta you are going, or smaller omega to higher omega you are going. So what will be the nature solution? I mean to say, can you expect that the curve at lower beta will be higher omega or lower omega solutions you supposed to get? Ultimately, you have to solve those equations. You have to plot those equations. But I am asking you, can you guess what would be the nature? As you keep on increasing your frequency,
it moves towards the omega equal to C by NF graph. As mode number increases,
yeah,
the effective index goes towards the core index.
Yeah. So from that nature, you can say that it will be something like that. Let me try this. So it will be like this one. As you go for beta equal to what? Beta equal to 2 pi by lambda n effective, right? 2 pi by lambda n effective. I'm just thinking that suppose you are increasing your lambda value. That means 2 pi by lambda, that will be decreasing. Okay. So in that sense, if you just put that for longer, or maybe this n effective is increasing, for example. For example, you are increasing omega. Other way you can think that, okay, frequency is increasing, then what would be the effective index? So you should be clear that the results will be minimum value. That means this value, the lower end will be somewhere close to this one, this curve, because my N effective is lowest value should be closer to NS and highest value should be closer to NF. And NF, this is the NF solution. This straight line is the NF solution. Okay. So as you keep on increasing your omega value, that will be slowly omega value you are increasing means your lambda you are decreasing. So slowly you will be getting NF like that. This should be for a certain value whenever you are putting, some, for example, m equal to 0. Now m equal to 1 if you try to get, then you see normally m equal to 1 solution comes for a given d value. It will be something like this. This is your m equal to 0 and this will be your m equal to 1. So that will be something like that. That means if you get a solution somewhere here, up to here this frequency you are increasing, you don't get other solutions. So this means from this frequency, 0 frequency, to up to this frequency, it is you don't have any solution. That will be leaky up to this one. So let us consider omega 1, and this is you are getting omega 2. So omega 1 is the cutoff when fundamental mode starts to propagate. Now omega 2 is the cutoff when your just next higher order mode starts to propagate. That means when I am increasing omega 2, omega meaning I am decreasing lambda for a given d value. For a given d value, that means if I decrease the wavelength, there is a chance that single mode waveguide will convert into multimode. Suppose I design a waveguide at 1550 nanometer. Now, if I want to couple light at 600 nanometer, for example, helium neon laser 635 nanometer. So in that case, there can be a chance that the waveguide is like a supporting 2-3 modes. Okay, so that is the point. So from this here also you will be able to know that where is the cutoff, lower cutoff frequency. Lower cutoff means the highest possible wavelength it can start propagating. So this is the reason any optical waveguide, if you see optical waveguide, you see up to a certain frequency it does not guide lower frequencies. Above a certain cutoff frequency it starts guiding. That's why optical waveguide is a high pass filter. You know, transmission line, I said that is a low pass filter, but optical waveguide is a high pass filter. After certain frequency, it starts propagating, because below that frequency the solutions you will be getting, but the solutions will be just not maintaining a total internal reflection in the interfaces. And then you get a some kind of range of frequency omega 1 to omega 2. These two frequency range, if you just operate, that means within this frequency range the waveguide is said to be single moded. Now if you just go again, another solution will start probably here. Suppose you get another solution will be starting something like this here. So up to here you will be getting your omega 3. So up to omega 3, that means up to omega 2 to omega 3, if you just try to see, there will be how many modes? Omega 2 to omega 3? Anyone? Hey, Rishabh.
Yes, sir.
I am asking that omega 2 to omega 3, how many modes will be there? Are you following my class?
Yes, sir.
So
I'm
then
following. Have to think.
think. You should not say. I think you are not following my class. Anyone can tell? If you have any problem to understand, just let me know. This is beta, this is your omega, right? And then this is your, this curve is for C by NF, C by NF beta, and this curve is for C by NS beta, omega equal to C by NS, and this is say C by NC beta, right? So this is the this curve, this is the this curve, this is the this curve, and then when you are using your T mode and m equal to 0 for a given d value, d given, right? And then I try to plot omega. I am just varying omega and trying to calculate beta. How I will be calculating beta? You have to calculate n effective first for that omega, and then this one will be C by n effective omega. I have a omega value, and for that omega I have calculated n effective, then I can calculate beta. That is for putting m equal to 0 I am just considering, right? So in that case, I know that my results will be between NS and NF. So m equal to 0, I supposed to get something like this type of, I think this little bit slope, better slope will be better. Just to show. So if I just show this one like this, so this is the curve, then I can have your solution like this. M equal to 0, I will be getting something like this. Okay, this is your m equal to 0 solutions we'll be getting. That means up to this point, this is your omega 1. You won't get any solution, and for higher frequencies means lower and lower waveguide, so it will be merging almost to NF, right? So that will be m equal to 0 solutions, and then m equal to 1 solutions, you will be getting something like this type of. If you plot, you will be getting like this. So that means this will be your omega 2 cutoff for mode 2, and then this will be, right? This is for m equal to 1, and this will be for m equal to 2, and this will be cutoff for omega 3. My question was 0 to omega 1, no guidance. Omega 1 to omega 2, single mode guidance. And omega 2 to omega 3, 2 mode guidance. Is that clear?
Sir, how omega 2 between omega 2 to omega 3 there are 2 modes?
You see, this solution, suppose I am considering this frequency. This frequency I have here, one solutions I am getting, right? So this one is there. So you get corresponding n effective here, beta value. And for that frequency, if you just see, you have another solutions also there for m equal to 0. When I just plot this one, you see this will be just merging when it will be just closely, it will be matching, but it can continue like this. It will not come below that. Any below solution will not be there. It will be just extending like that. That's why when I am considering this frequency, I get one solution here for m equal to 1, another solutions also I will be getting m equal to 0 also another solution. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Now, sir.
Yeah, okay, fine. So now you know that there will be how to design single frequency. Suppose you have a given D and you get 2 solutions like that. That means 2 modes will be there and corresponding effective index also you will be getting, where beta value you will be getting, right? This is considered for T mode. Similar thing you can also plot for TM mode in the same curve. Then you can get maybe another one. Maybe I can put this one. Another solutions for n equal to 0, you will be getting something like this. This is for other polarization. And another one for second mode. So this will be something like this probably. So you have to check both polarization, TE as well as TM. For TE also, I just run m equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, so on in this equation. And for TM mode, n equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and also try to solve this one. So I will be getting so many modes are there. Then I can say that for a given d value, how many modes I can expect to guide. And it is known that up to a certain frequency, you may not get any solution. You may not get any solution. That is the reason we say that a waveguide, optical waveguide, is a high pass filter. So this will be called as a cutoff. I can give you a problem that if D is this one, say suppose 1 micrometer, let me consider this thing. If D is 1 micrometer, say 1 micrometer, right? And your NF equal to 3.46 and NS 1.46, NC equal to 1.00, right? 1 micrometer is there. Now I will say that what is the cutoff frequency for guidance? That means which lowest wave frequency it can start guiding, or I can say what is the lambda cut. That means what is the upper wavelength cutoff, so that it can start guiding. So that means if I say that lambda cutoff, so for example, I'm just considering here, suppose you have a lambda cutoff, something like this. Lambda cutoff is say 1.6 micrometer. Now I have two laser, lambda 1 is having 1.62 micrometer, another lambda 2 is having 1.58 micrometer. Which one will guide? I have a solution, lambda cutoff equal to 1.6 micrometer.
Lambda 1.
So lambda 1 will be guiding.
Yes, sir.
How come? You see, lambda cutoff is corresponding to omega cutoff. That means omega is the lowest cutoff frequency, lower cutoff frequency. That means omega I know 2 pi by c lambda, right? So in this, I think here this way omega is increasing, but lambda is increasing in this direction. So when I say omega cutoff is minimum, so lambda cutoff will be maximum. So that means that is a maximum possible wavelength it can guide. So this one will not guide at all. And this one, it will be guiding with fundamental mode. If this is a lambda cut, then suppose I am considering lambda 3, which is 0.635 nanometer. That's a helium neon laser micrometer. It can happen that it is guiding lambda 2 with a single mode. But lambda 3, if this laser is launched, it can happen that you can get 4 modes or 4 solutions. That means this lambda 3 will be distributed into 4 different modes. So what I'm saying that suppose, say, let me try. Suppose you have a waveguide. This is your D. This is x equal to 0 and x equal to D. And I know that I have a lambda equal to 1550 nanometer I am launching. I have designed this one, that will be only fundamental mode solutions you will be getting. It will be propagating for 1550 nanometer. This can be considered as a EYX e to the power j omega t minus beta naught z. Okay, so fundamentally it will be propagating like a fundamental mode, and it can get a solution as you decrease these values to 1500. You can keep on getting this solution, but different beta naught value, and distribution also will be slightly changed. Omega will be different. Instead of 1500, suppose 1400 nanometer, I'll be getting different solutions. Beta naught value will be different, because beta naught is actually, what is that? N omega by c n effective, omega by c n effective naught. So what I'm saying that I can decrease the wavelength, I can get a different n effective solution, and phase will be different. But as I decrease my wavelength, I can get also another one solution, beta 1, which will be omega by c n effective 1. That means higher order mode will be there. If I keep on decreasing again further up to 635 nanometer, then I can get a solution for beta naught, beta 2, beta 1, beta 2 also, this way. So that means I will be getting, say, 0, and another solution I will be getting EX 1, and another solution UI 2X, and corresponding beta naught, beta 1 will be there, and their shape will be different. I think somehow the visualization is clear, right? Any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I just discussed this 1D waveguide, and the last point I want to discuss, that suppose I have a mode, I have waveguide, and it can support, for any given lambda, it can support 3 modes. And another mode, right? So this corresponding to m equal to 0, this corresponding to m equal to 1, this corresponding to m equal to 2, and this corresponding to beta naught, this corresponding to beta 1, this corresponding to beta 2, and this is same frequency omega. 3 modes are there, right? You can get a solution, right? D is given. This is 1D waveguide. Now, suppose you have a laser emitting lambda, okay, launched. This is your waveguide interface. X equal to 0. Quick question. Let me see how much you understand. X equal to 0, and you have a beam of light, laser light coming here. What will happen? All the 3 modes will be excited. These are the solutions, mathematical solutions. Only if you have energy source is given, then only they will be starting, they will start guiding. They will take over. Is that clear? Now you have a laser beam you are launching. So what will happen? All the 3 modes will be excited, or fundamental mode will be excited, or selected 2 modes will be excited, or nothing will happen. This is a waveguide. Dimension is set such that it can support 3 modes for a given wavelength lambda. So lambda can be, say, 1550 nanometer.
Sir, it should depend on the coupling. How we are coupling the laser light with that waveguide, in which angle.
Suppose it is just a beam coming, because now no more, I am not talking anymore angle. I am just talking in terms of Maxwell's equation directly. So in this last few classes, because earlier when we are talking about ray optics picture, that time actually we are considering your what do you call that, theta solutions, n effective, all those type of things. Now I am calculating n effective completely different way, is not it?
Yes, sir.
So that means I don't need to bother about theta. I can have beam coming here, something like that, and then normally this theta handling is very difficult in practical situations. You can have a laser light, you have seen, some beam is coming out, just laser pointer you have seen. So that type of beam is there. You are signing here, something like that. So what will happen? Probably
Sir,
I can tell that this beam is something like this.
Sir, we can come with the beta versus omega curve. These laser beam have a central frequency omega 0, so I can make a line along this.
No, I said that at omega, you know that 3 solutions are feasible. Solutions are there. With this waveguide dimension, solutions are there. Abhinav, are you there? No. Abhinav is not there. So anyone else?
Sir, can we discuss this question in the next class? I have a quiz next from 9 to 10.
From 2?
From 9 to 10, I have a quiz, mini quiz.
Okay, fine.
I have also, sir.
Okay, fine. We can discuss that in the next class. But this is very important. Okay, all right.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.